We have two more equations where we will be solving the equations using the zero product property. Let's take a look at number 5. So we see that we have 4x squared minus 4x equals 3. So if you remember from the previous video, we can't use the zero product property until the equation is set equal to 0. That's why it's called the zero product property. So our first step is to subtract 3 from both sides of our equation. So then we will obtain 4x squared minus 4x minus 3 equals 0. Next, I have to factor the trinomial 4x squared minus 4x minus 3. In the last video, I demonstrated the AC method. In this video, we're just going to do some trial and error, and hopefully you'll start to try that on your own. If you really want to do the AC method, please pause the video right now and factor the trinomial using the AC method. But then please come back and also watch the trial and error method. And hopefully you will try it yourself sometime soon. So I'm going to go ahead right away and set up my two binomials. I know my first term has to be 4x squared. So I'm going to try 2x and 2x and see if that gets the job done. Because 2x times 2x will get me to 4x squared as my first term. Now, the constants in each binomial have to multiply to 3. Technically negative 3, but let's just start with 3 for now. Because there's only one option, 1 and 3. There's only one pair of factors to use. So we just have to decide where to put the 1 and where to put the 3 and which one gets the negative sign. So this is why it's called trial and error. I'm going to try putting the 3 in the first binomial and the 1 in the second binomial. Now, I have to decide which number gets the minus sign and which number gets the plus sign, because I do have to multiply to a negative 3. So now I have to consider my middle term, which is negative 4x. So I want my middle terms to add up to negative 4x. So I'm going to try, but I'm actually kind of predicting already. And so let me talk you through this. If I make the first, so again, we need to add up to negative 4x. So I circled the negative sign in the trinomial. If I make the sign in the first binomial negative 3, then when I distribute or when I do FOIL and I multiply the negative 3 times the 2x, that will give me negative 6x. Now, if the sign in the second binomial is plus, then when I multiply my outside terms, that will give me plus 2x. And then when I combine those, I will get negative 6x plus 2x. And yes, I will get negative 4x as my middle term. So it's trial and error, but it's also a little bit of predicting in your mind how you could get those outside terms and those inside terms to add to the negative 4x that you want in the middle. If you want to pause the video right now and check, do the complete FOIL process to verify, please go ahead and do so. But I'm pretty confident I found my factors, 2x minus 3 and 2x plus 1 equals 0. So now I'm ready to use my zero product property. So for my first equation, I start by adding 3 to both sides. And then if 2x equals 3, I get the solution x equals 3 halves. In the second equation, I subtract 1 from both sides. So 2x equals negative 1, which means x equals negative 1 half. And my solutions are negative 1 half and 3 halves. Okay, number 6. I also need to see that there is 0 on one side of this equation. Now, I have 8x minus 16 equals x squared. So you might be thinking, well, let's just subtract x squared from both sides. That's one quick move, and then I will have 0 on one side. That's true. But even if it takes more moves, I recommend you do whatever it takes so that your leading coefficient can be positive. So since I already have positive 1x squared, that means if I leave x squared on the right side of the equation, then I will have an a value of positive 1, which makes factoring much more pleasant. So instead of subtracting x squared from both sides, I'm going to do 2 moves, which means I have to subtract 8x and add 16 to both sides. So by subtracting 8x and adding 16, I can get the left side of the equation to equal 0. And now my right side is x squared minus 8x plus 16. So it doesn't really matter what side the 0 is on. Right side, left side, it doesn't matter. So now I'm going to factor x squared minus 8x plus 16. So the factors of 16 that will add up to 8 are going to be negative 4 and negative 4. because I need a positive 16 when I multiply, but a negative 8 when I add. So look at my binomials. X minus 4 times x minus 4. They're the same thing. So when I write my zero product property equations, I get x minus 4 equals 0, so x equals 4. But then I get the same thing, x also equals 4. So what we call this is a repeated solution. So I know you're looking for two solutions because the equation had the x squared. Technically we got 2, but it's the same number. So really the solution is just 4, but we call it a repeated solution because it was the result of both of those linear equations after I applied the zero product property. So the only solution here is x equals 4, which is a repeated solution.